Salutations, and welcome to another episode of What If? Fatal Fury, also known as Garo Densetsu, that translates to Legend of the Hungry Wolf, chronicles the story of Terry Bogard, the up-and-coming champion of KOF, or King of Fighters as it was known back then, before the just KOF as the three-man team we know it now today. What if Fatal Fury was instead known as Zenshin Kyoukin, which I Google translated as whole-body murder weapon, or human weapon for short, which is the SNK wiki that now became the SNK fandom wiki, since I did an episode on What If Mr. Karate Killed Jeff Bogard, like an AOF1. I'll link that in the description if you're interested. But anyway, the wiki states that Andy is a bit more reserved, a more aloof type, kind of the Ryu to Terry's Ken. He's more dedicated to being isolated in Japan, trading with Kopoken and the Shiranui style, in roots with what he learned in Hyakyoseiken from his late father Jeff. And he's training non-stop until the day where he can avenge his father's murder at the hands of Geese Howard. So Fatal Fury takes place, and is laser-focused on going through everyone in the tournament to get to fight Geese, even his own brother. So laser-focused that when the brothers are forced to fight one another to determine who faces the defending champion Billy Khan, and he resorts to even the nastier aspects of his Kopogen to target Terry's more vulnerable parts of his body. Terry gets overwhelmed for the first time in a sense that he doesn't want to go that far to win. I'm kind of leaning into what Shadow Andy Bogard or EX Andy Bogard from Real Bout Special as far as this more serious, darker approach. The win takes Terry aback, thinking, my own brother tried to incapacitate, maybe even kill me. But by the time he gets up and puts that thoughts to words, Andy's off to face the defending champion, blows right through Billy. He then seeks Geese before Hopper and Ripper can even get their mitts on him to bring him upstairs, or wherever, to Geese's tower. Geese does provide more of a challenge. The two equals and styles merged with the ki-based nature that is Hyakyoseiken. Andy busts out his Cho Reppudan on Geese, and out the tower he goes. By the time the news of Geese's departure and defeat reaches the masses, Andy's gone. He got his revenge, that's all he cares about. Basically, arrive, avenge my father's murderer, leave. By the time the news reaches Terry, he figures once he's fully recovered, he's going to train up and knock some sense into his brother, because he feels his younger, more impulsive brother may become like Geese in his ruthlessness if not stopped, or at least curbed that kind of attitude. Again, because Terry represents, when Terry got his revenge, he then started off as this whole folk hero, this legend. He was in it just to improve himself, not really. Yeah, he's never really about the whole revenge thing that much anymore outside of the first Fatal Fury. We know Terry's the more kind of laid back, okay, kind of American everyday man. And he haven't trained in a more serious style like ninjutsu, like Kopoken. Not so much. So just like in the story of Fatal Fury 2's special, Wolfgang Krauser stages his own tournament going global so that he can challenge the guy who beat Geese Howard. My Shiranui, who still has some feelings for Andy, is a bit taken aback by Andy's actions as well, so when she and Terry meet up in the Fatal Fury 2 tournament, it kind of goes a little something like this. Remember, Terry doesn't know Mai that well yet, so they do a spar when they show up facing each other. Terry surmises some of those moves are akin to what Andy uses. You wouldn't happen to know an Andy Bogard, would you? Andy? You know my Andy? Come to think of it, you look a bit like him. You fight like he does, but without any of that ruthlessness. I'm Terry Bogard, Andy's brother. We fought in last year's tournament, and he went so far I thought it was a goner. You lost? Wow. I guess there's a first time for everything. He talked about how he could never seem to surpass you. I never thought he'd take the teachings of Shiranui's style to such a degree. On his own brother, no less. Well, let's get to it. Loser helps the winner find Andy, deal? Terry agrees, and the two make their way up. Now, Fatal Fury 2 Andy in-game had a boost of an AI, so much that when Terry and Andy meet again, Terry notices that Andy's a bit more reluctant, a bit more hesitant this time around, and in that hesitation, Terry takes the win. Andy came to the same realization Terry and Mai did, thinking, anger fueled me the first time I fought. Now, I don't know what to do with it. Whatever anger I held for Geese is gone now that our father's death has been avenged. I don't think I want to fight anymore if that's what it takes. But you, Terry, You fight only for the sake of it. Not in anger, but only to seek strong opponents to match fists with. A guy like Krauser? I'm no fool. If I'm this hesitant against him, he'll end me. Terry, I can never repay what I've done. I can only ask for forgiveness. Thank you for showing me there's a better way. Water under the bridge, bro. Guess you're no rookie anymore. So Andy sits out in the sideline as Terry's skill and the knowing that he used that skill to bring his brother back is enough to topple Krauser. So now both Bogards are KOF tournament winners, which comes into play for the events of Fatal Fury 3, except with a few differences. With Andy's enraged attitude back in Fatal Fury 1, his relationship with Joe Higashi is a bit more strained. They met in the Fatal Fury 1 tournament, or I think before the tournament? I forget. And then they became friends afterwards. And it was Joe that lets Andy and Terry know, like, hey, Geese this is the guy who's sponsoring this tournament. And then joins them in their revenge quest. But with this new, more adversarial relationship between the two, they go at it a bit more when the search for the Jin Scrolls take place. And again, when Geese announces another tournament in the events of Real Bout Fatal Fury. Andy wins both those encounters. Yamazaki gives Andy some trouble, but Terry helps him out. The two brothers fight more of a united front, since both brothers have wins under their belt. The inferiority complex that soothed in Andy is not a factor anymore. They fight as equals. So the fight against the Jin twins at the end of Fatal Fury 3 are younger brother versus younger brother and elder versus elder. Real Bout sees Andy realizing his true potential even more as he defeats his older brother again, but with more restraint, fighting as his older brother does and realizing fight just for the sake of it, just to test yourself and be stronger. So Andy's ending for Real Bout comes into play as he's the one who knocks Geese off his tower, and if you played that game before, he also has the ending where he reaches for Geese's hands to save him, and Geese throws his hand away and falls to his death. Terry still takes in Rock Howard while Andy has his closure. Mai's ecstatic, and the two decide together that they become the successors to the Shiranui style as husband and wife. So that's it for this episode of What If. How do you think Andy would act if he won over Geese? I attempted to shadow Andy and how he was more focused solely on revenge like he was in the first Fatal Fury OVA, just without the blue hair. In any case, take care and thanks for watching.